The sun, our creator and eventual destroyer, zaps billions upon billions of UV rays out into space every second. These beams of radiation pounded our surfaces for 4 billion years. Our planet developed a natural barrier, the ozone, which largely shielded light from the piercing UV rays. But one species, man, did something extraordinary.
The machine age was born. But modern machines need to be fed too, fed with fuels. Where do we get the fuels? From the big fuel man himself. Over the ages, Mr. Sun was kind enough to store them up for us. Chop for living sunshine. Dig for fossil sunshine. Drill for liquid sunshine. Dams for silent sunshine. Fuel. Fuel. More fuel.
They started baking themselves from the inside, and the ozone that protects them became an oven.
Some other ways depend on glass. Sunlight coming through a window heats up everything in the room, but heat radiated back from furniture and floor is long heat waves, which the window glass stops from going back out, thus trapping the sun's heat. Is that why greenhouses covered with glass are warmer inside than the air outside? Right. That's why your closed car gets so unbearably hot standing out in the sun.
This is called the greenhouse gas effect, and it's caused by gases such as CO2 preventing the sun's heat from escaping, causing the global temperature to slowly rise. We've termed the shifting of Earth's global ecosystem climate change, and it's an issue that's been developing for the past 2 centuries, and it's getting worse as the years go by. There are multiple problems that may rise because of climate change, and they've been neglected for too long. Now, many island nations such as Tuvalu are at risk of disappearing entirely, and many others have major coastal cities at risk. The Earth is getting warmer by the day, and waves of prolonged heat are happening more frequently, and the excess heat causes global sea level to rise.
Steadily increasing sea levels are encroaching coastal cities every moment of the day. We've inflamed the world's oceans by 8 to 9 inches in the past 140 years, and although that distance is coverable by a snail in 3 minutes, it undermines what's really taking place. From 1993 to 2021, 3.8 inches of vertical coast has sunk. Nearly half of our damage in the past 100 years was made in the past 28 years. Rising temperatures are the main culprit of this unnatural sea level rise. As we learned previously, greenhouse gases are raising Earth's surface temperatures. It is causing 2 byproducts of global warming that are contributing to the sea level rising. One such byproduct is melting ice sheets and glaciers, which add to the total volume of water in the ocean, as water is more dense as a liquid than a solid.
The second consequence of rising temperatures on sea level is the natural expansion of seawater as it heats up. Thermal expansion occurs when the water becomes warm, and it causes the volume of water to increase. With this experiment you could do at home, you can see the rise this small amount of water makes in just a handful of minutes. Imagine what this experiment would look like on a global scale with an essentially unlimited and intense supply of heat. Earth's sea level rise is mostly credited to the inflaming of water from thermal expansion.
Scientists and a few politicians are beginning to worry that global energy planning does not take the greenhouse effect seriously enough. If the Earth gets too warm, for example, ice caps could melt, raising the level of the seas. Possible, probable, we really don't know. But if it happens, it means goodbye Miami, goodbye Corpus Christi, goodbye Sacramento, goodbye Boston, which obviously is much more of a concern, goodbye New Orleans, goodbye Charleston, Savannah, and Norfolk. On the positive side, it means that we can enjoy boating at the foot of the Capitol and fishing on the South Lawn.
Simulations created by climatologists predict future sea level rise for the United States. This upward advancement may be up to 7.2 feet by the year 2100 and can increase to 13 feet by 2150. Continuing to look at the United States, around 30% of the population lives in relatively high population dense coastal areas. These are areas where sea level plays a role in flooding, shoreline erosion, and hazards from storms. Some major historical sites lie near sea level. As for now, they are at the mercy of the sea.
For some, it isn't as simple as moving away. Jakarta is the capital of Indonesia, and it's been dubbed the sinking city. This is Waladuna Mosque. Its stones lie in ruin, and seawater infiltrates every corner of it. The last time people sought peace and prayer in the mosque was in 2001, back when it was still above ground. Today, it's a warning sign. These blue areas display how much coastal area has been lost since 1977. At the northern coast, the land sinks by 25 centimeters a year. Now, let's get a first-hand account.
Buminya turun terus, jadi kita bangun lagi asal begini mah ya mau pindah kemana lagi namanya udah orang.
For the people of Jakarta, The threat is constant and impending. Some gave up on building and live on fishing boats instead. Those that build are exhausted by the impending sea. This man has had to rebuild his home several times.
10 tahun yang lalu, 10 tahun ya kan. Ini sebetulnya tadinya air nggak sampai sini ya kan. Jadi kita bangunin ini ngukur. Oh iya, ini sampai sini air, kita harus atasnya lagi.
If we want to impede the coast and mitigate damages to the millions of people around the world, we must have billions of people working together. Temporary solutions for rising sea level include building levees and flood barriers to delay the coming of the sea. You're looking at the Thames Barrier, which protects London from flooding from tidal changes. These solutions only work around the problem, however. Long-term solutions will be the most effective way to help coastal communities recover and feel secure. Reducing carbon emissions will stall climate change from causing any further damages further in our future.
Clean energy, including solar, wind, and hydro, are sustainable ways to power our cities. It is also key to support, protect, and rebuild our natural counters against climate change, our beautiful natural landscapes. The Amazon rainforest is experiencing rapid deforestation, which ruins local ecosystems, but more importantly, lowers the amount of autotrophs taking in these greenhouse gases.
And now for a slow burn. Unusually hot days and heatwave events are a natural part of day-to-day variation in weather. As the Earth's climate warms, hotter than usual days and nights are becoming more common. Over the past few years, we have seen a global increase in the frequency, duration, and intensity of heat waves. This is life-threatening for people who do not have access to proper counters to extreme heat. Even many developed countries are faltering in the face of generational heat wave after generational heat wave. Global warming is theorized to be responsible for the increasing lethality of these swells and temperatures.
By now to fill us in on what went on weather-wise today, and I can tell you this one thing: we set a brand new record which may never be broken again.
How many days has it been 100 this year? 53. The last record was 52, set back in 1954, and it looks like tomorrow will be our 54th day if things go well.
The record was set that year at 63 days in a year over 100 degrees, and it didn't go uncontested for long. 18 years later, in 1998, it was 2 days shy of being broken. 12 years after that, in 2011, it was broken, with 68 days surpassing 100 degrees. After having the record beaten, it was then absolutely shattered just 11 years later, in 2022.
A recent study published in Nature Climate Change adds additional detail by assessing the human cost of that extra heat. On average, 37% of all heat-related deaths can be pinned directly on climate change. Climate change is not something in the future. It's something in the present, and it is already affecting our health in very dramatic ways. Extreme deadly heat events, like the one battering North America and Europe, are a foreshadowing of what will come. We can expect that we've seen in the past that 37% is going to increase exponentially in the future. Extreme heat kills more people each year in the US than any other kind of natural disaster.
In July of 2021, some places in England recorded temperatures of 104 degrees Fahrenheit for the first time in history. When temperatures were at their highest, there were an estimated 1,012 excess deaths in people aged over 65. The heat season in the summer of 2022 had the highest value of excess mortality from heat, which saw an estimated 1,458 excess deaths in the elderly.
65 years old, yeah, I think they played.
These figures display the potential impact that longer and intense heat waves could have on at-risk groups. Heat also disproportionately affects poorer countries.
Poorer countries often have less access to air conditioning and housing. That lowers people's vulnerability to heat. In Ecuador, 77% of heat-related deaths are attributed to climate change and 61% in the Philippines. Pollution-driving countries must take responsibility and make actions to decrease excess deaths to protect these at-risk groups. The U.S. is responsible for about 25% of all planet-warming emissions currently in the atmosphere, while Guatemala, for example, has contributed roughly 0.0002%, but more than 75% of the heat deaths in that country can be linked to climate change.
Some actions toward dampening deaths can be simple, like making sure people have access to fans, air conditioning, shade, and electricity. Other long-term solutions, such as figuring out how to make the electrical grid robust enough to stand up to the excess stresses imposed by too much heat, will be much more complex, but are achievable.
Everyone on Earth is threatened in some aspect by the heat. Urban areas can lose vegetation and have less food, while rural areas will have higher temperatures at night. Ultimately, we simply must reduce our carbon footprint on the atmosphere if we want to see change. But change is slow and costly. Some don't even believe there is a problem.
But if dreams fail, the answer must be sun power from our Mr. Sun.
What if you don't find ways to use my free sunshine for fuel?
Then the machine age is over. We'll have to go back to muscle power and the 500 million population that muscle power alone can support.
Eventually, something will have to be done to mitigate the effects of climate change. We're now at a crossroads in history where we have the technology and knowledge to improve our planet's condition. But ultimately, our success hinges on the ability to collaborate and execute as a species. But humanity has overcome countless challenges in the past and harnessed nature in unthinkable ways. Who knows? Maybe humanity will be bested this time around.
But that will never happen. Oh, no? Why not? Because man's greatest power source is his mind. God gave him that, not you. Without taking a step, he can travel faster and farther than any animal. Without even getting wet, he can outswim any fish. Without a feather on him, he can fly faster, higher, and farther than any eagle. He can send his eyes and ears hundreds of miles into space where he's never even been. And he's pried open the secret of the atom that he's never even seen. When his fuels run low, man's mind and imagination will meet the challenge and invent undreamed of ways to use the free sunlight God showers down upon him.
Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something.
As I look back, I watch him board the blade. A voice inside of me says,